All right, we are live. Give me a second to see if I can get the Instagram bit to work. And it is. We're upgrading this process. Okay, great. This is working. So I'm going to minimize this and get started. Hello, everyone. It is Stephanie Brown. Um, I This is number 6. I've been going live consecutively for 6 weeks in a row. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back because every one of these, at least in the beginning, I definitely came to it kind of kicking and screaming, um, just because I was being a scaredy cat about going live and that being super uncomfortable. But everything about this year for me is stepping into what is scary, what is hard, kicking myself out of my comfort zone and doing it scared, trusting that, what was working before or whatever I was doing before might have only been getting me to a certain result. And I'm really honestly trying to kick it into gear. So I feel like in order to do that, I've got to go all the way in terms of just trying new things and pushing myself. So, if you are new here, my name is actually Stephanie Fleming, but I go by my maiden name, Stephanie Brown, in my art practice. And if you are watching this on Instagram, you'll see that my handle is at Created Brown. And if you are tuning in from YouTube, you'll see that my channel is called Stephanie Squared. So YouTube is where all of this will be housed. So if you are not already following me on YouTube, please be sure to click the link in my bio, visit me online at stephaniesquared.com or my art page as well, website, stephaniebphotos.com. Those are both places where you can get linked to my YouTube channel. Definitely hit subscribe. And if you hit that notification bell, you will get reminders as to when it is that I go live. I'm going live once a week, every Sunday at 11 a.m. Why? All right. So for a while, I've been doing a newsletter. I've had my newsletter for years now. This year in particular, I proposed a new challenge to myself. I've been steadily working towards building and creating um, an art career for myself. That's been my dream. That's the childhood dream. That's always been the end goal, is to live my life doing the things that I love, being able to travel, make art, share my work, share my thoughts and opinions through my different art forms. And, I'm super proud of myself. I've done a lot for the big age of 32. I've done a lot and I'm super proud of where I am in my career. And still, I am excited to grow in my practice even more so and be full time. And when I say full time, I mean paying all of my bills through my creative practice and through myself, who I am, Stephanie, alone, not necessarily through a day job or a W 2 employer. That being said, come January of this year, I started, what was it? So I started at 169 days is when I started in January. I think it was like January 13th. Started a Substack, wrote an article on my Substack talking about this journey that I was going on. So I set myself a hard deadline. I have until July 1st to figure out this missing gap financially for myself and to challenge myself to see, can I fully replace my day job income through different means to be able to prioritize and solely work on all of my creative endeavors. So since I started that and gave myself that deadline, I'm at 86 days left. And since then, I've done a lot. I've been able to do the other art fair. Um, these are going to be short, so I'm not going to like ramble through the list, but I've been keeping everyone up to date through my email newsletter. So if you're not a subscriber, definitely join that. You can get it to your inbox, or you can follow along on Substack. Instagram is actually the last place where a lot of things are arriving. So Substack, via email, and YouTube are definitely going to be your best bets. Or if you're okay with getting it a little delayed, Instagram. Um, so yeah, so I don't really know what's next. I am honestly and truly just doing what feels good. I'm trying to just listen to hear what spirit wants me to do and where I'm supposed to move. And I, for the first time, am putting all of my eggs in the art basket. I am prioritizing all of my different gifts. I'm prioritizing lots of opportunities that I didn't really have the time to pour into. And that's what I'm doing now. So, all of that background, for those of you who are new, just because this is my first time also going live on Instagram, shout out to my brother for hooking me up with the StreamYard account so that I could cross post my live videos across LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Um, I am wanting to eventually be able to be in conversation with you all so that you can leave questions. If you're watching this later, please feel free to utilize the comments to drop any questions for me so that I can address it in the next week. All right. So we're 6 minutes in. What did I do this week? What's going on? So I dropped on April 1st, and it was not an April Fool's Day joke, my podcast. So, In Between Artists. If you've been following me for a while, you know that this podcast is not brand new. This is an idea that I manifested 2 years ago, and I recorded a pilot season of episodes. And I had a goal to release them, but I really wanted to release them with articles. I didn't want to just put out a podcast and it be audio only. I wanted to do a video podcast, but I also wanted to showcase my writing and also highlight top level for those who might not listen to the whole podcast or watch the whole podcast. There's so much to be learned from other artists. I wanted to be able to write articles to support each of these episodes. So, anyway, long story short, I highly underestimated the workload on top of all the jobs I was working at the time of recording this podcast. Was insane. I was working more than 3 different jobs and trying to record this podcast. This was prior to me being pregnant. Then, while recording, I was in the early part of my pregnancy. And then, I just totally fell off with motherhood and baby and all of that. But I still stayed true to wanting to do this. I just wasn't sure how I was going to make my way back to it. The woman who was actually helping me edit my podcast is a neighbor of mine, and she works in public broadcasting. And she connected me to Jeremiah Tittle, and he is the founder of Next Chapter Podcast. And we've actually been speaking for a few months, just checking in. And Jeremiah was really interested in me. He was interested in the podcast. He's got an artistic background for himself, and he didn't have of all the podcasts that he's helped start and promote through his agency over the years. They've been in the business for as long as podcasts have been around, nearly. He didn't have a super art focused one or visual art focused one. And we really connected, and I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to not just pitch my podcast to him, but I'm also really grateful that he was excited that I would even be interested in working with him. So, all things happen for a reason. It's a good thing that the podcast did not fully get to air because I've got all these episodes in the can. And now I'm revisiting all of that to bring it to life now. So, In Between Artists, it got a little bit of a makeover in terms of the cover art. Really also centering myself as a host. I'm leaning into me being the talent. I am the talent. It's a part of also the marketing strategy. I'm hopeful that my podcasts will really help showcase my dedication and advocacy for arts entrepreneurship and arts education. It's been a soapbox of mine for a really long time. I'm a really big believer that the best way for any artist, whether you are still emerging, whether you're thinking about being an artist, whether you got an art degree and you're not using it, if you're thinking about getting into the arts, no matter where you find yourself on that spectrum, there's no one way to be an artist, right? So I feel like the best way for people to cultivate their careers or figure out like what steps that they need to take is to learn from other artists. And what I have found is that a lot of artist talks really don't get into the nitty gritty um, of details, especially when it comes to money, whether you went to school or didn't go to school. There's all these missing gaps that you don't get from a traditional artist talk because most artists who are giving talks are kind of, they've arrived at a certain point, um, or the talk's really just primarily based on kind of where they are or their project or a certain exhibition or their art practice or something like that. So this podcast, every episode, I am interviewing another artist, a fellow artist who I feel is on their way. They are beyond an emerging artist. They're definitely early career. A few might even be kind of like tipping their toe into like mid career. But a lot of those labels are like, whatever, early career, mid career. Regardless, these are people who are on their way. They are dedicated to their craft. They are actively pursuing their careers and they're figuring it out. And my hope is that people will listen to that and find a mentor in one of the people that I interview or multiple people that I interview. And I'm really wanting to connect the person that I'm interviewing to the general public and to their future mentee. So if that's something that you're interested in, please tune in, please subscribe. You can find In Between Artists in most places wherever you find podcasts. It will also be on YouTube because it is a video podcast. So if you're into listening, you can do that. And if you're wanting to watch it, you can do that as well. I'm going to segue into the next thing that I worked on this week that was a big time consumer is a media kit. So I made an electronic press kit for myself. A little background is that I have two sisters, but my sister that's closest to me in age, she's 5 years older than me, Shayna. Shout out to DJ Lady Shay. My sister's a professional DJ and definitely a great sense of inspiration from someone. You can make a career doing anything if you stick to it. And I know that she has so much more to grow into her practice as a professional DJ. And I had the honor of making her an electronic press kit. And I was so impressed with the press kit that I made her in a really short period of time. I was like, I should really do this for myself. So I did. I made myself a media kit, and this media kit actually went live on April 1st as well. So it did not get a dedicated Instagram post, but I did talk about it on my Substack and some other articles. Why did I make myself a media kit? If I'm going to, well, let me correct my language. I am going to be a full-time artist and fully replace my income in 86 days. And in order for me to do that, I have to fully step into all of my growth areas and all of the roles in which my creative practice manifests itself. So, as you can see on the front of this media kit, I'm highlighting all of my titles and roles that I'm really focused on right now. Stephanie Brown, Stephanie, right? Stephanie as the visual artist, Stephanie as the writer, Stephanie as the educator, Stephanie as the podcast host, and Stephanie as the mother. All of these hats are where my priority and energy is in right now. And I'm leaning onto all of these areas to fund my creative practice. So I created this media kit to make it easy to share with people a really like a more broader summary of who I am, but also position myself for potential sponsorships and partnerships. And this is where I'll close for today's update. that'll really lead into the other things that I've been working on this week and what I'm going to get into more in the subsequent weeks is, you can imagine there's a lot on my plate. And there's a lot going on simultaneously. And I'm grateful because God said I can. So to quote Tabitha Brown, that's just what it is. God said I can, so I am. And I'm really grateful to just be trying. I don't want to leave anything on the table. That's what I've been telling myself every day since January. On the days that it's hard, on the days that the tops of the months are the hardest because it's scary looking at your bank account. It's scary when I've got studio rent to pay and a mortgage to pay and more diapers and other things to buy. I'm not going to lie, it's scary and this is hard. However, I'm actively choosing not to focus on the hard and the scary. And I'm actively choosing to put my faith and trust in that I'm doing what I love and I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. And I will be partnered with the right people. I will be positioned into the right situations and opportunities that will bring me where I'm meant to go and that will bring me to the next steps. As someone who was a hyper planner, and I'm a recovering workaholic, I'm leaning into rest. I'm leaning into just doing what feels good. I'm leaning into really managing my capacity more and my bandwidth and being careful with my bandwidth and what I'm saying yes or no to. I think the next thing for me is I really want to make it clear to people all the different ways that they can work with me. So you can work with me by this year in particular, you can work with me by collecting art, sharing my website with other people who might collect art or might be interested in collecting art. There's lots of different ways that you can purchase art from me. I've got lots of work available. I'm wide open to studio visits. Please reach out to me directly if you'd like to have a studio visit with me. My studio is in Avondale Estates, Georgia, right next to downtown Decatur. Um, I'm also open for consulting opportunities. So, with my background in arts administration, there's a lot of opportunities right there where I can come in short term on a project. If you are looking for support from an artist or someone with a creative background, if you are a business or an organization leader and you're trying to figure out how to incorporate the arts into your next project or next public engagement, that's another area where I can help out. I'm also available for commission. So whether that's a photography commission, there's a whole tab on my website about that, or public art installations, like my public art installation that I have up right now at Emory University that was in partnership with a PhD nursing student. And upcoming on April 19th, I'm facilitating a public arts engagement with Midtown Alliance and Emory Arts and Social Justice Fellowship. So those are all different ways that you can work with me. Please feel free to reach out at any point in time, whether that's through email or DM, all the above, or you can just drop a comment below and I'll be sure to connect with you. Trying to think. I think that's it for this week's update. So I'll keep it there. We're right at time. So I'm, trying to keep it at the 15-minute minute. I will drop this one last thing in terms of like applications and things, and I'll try to let you all know how this goes. I'm trying out a few different platforms for selling my art. I'm about to try ArtPlacer, Cohart, and I'm already listed on Saatchi Art. Um, yeah, I'm just going to try out a few and see how it works in terms of marketing and positioning my work out there. If you all have any other recommendations for me of platforms that I should be trying or spaces I should be trying, let me know. Um, if time allows, I'm also really going to try and get in this New York spring break application because that's one of my bucket list spaces that I really want to show work at. So that'd be great. I might have had an opportunity, but um, yeah, I have to pick and choose what I can do because I don't necessarily have the capital right now to like pour into expensive fairs or exhibits and that kind of thing. So I've got to really pick and choose. Speaking of exhibits, if anyone is looking for an exhibition, my solo exhibition that was supposed to happen in California in January that was canceled due to the fires, that is still a ready to go show that I have. I have a proposal for it and a pitch already online. I even have a deck. So if anybody in any state, in any city, is interested in hosting my exhibit for a solo show, please let me know, because the goal was to always have that show travel to multiple cities. And it was supposed to start in LA in January. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But the work and everything is still right here, ready to go, never before seen. So I'd love to find a home for that work soon. All right. I'm going to end it there. And thank you all for your time. Take care. Ending.